I am Ray, and this is your sign to have trust and faith. Stop worrying. Let me tell you a quick story. Hold on, little Bodie was feeling left out. Let me go. He likes the warmth of a coffee. So I just got back from a camping trip, and I began the journey last Friday. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter because you might be watching this whenever. I left on a Friday. The first red flag was, I was spending hours trying to find the right camping spot. And I was thinking, I don't want to really drive that far because I don't like driving. I'm going to find a place close by. Eventually, I found one. I clicked reserve. And then afterwards, for some reason, I didn't check how far it was. It was almost 4 hours. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Pack everything, leave, start driving. I get about 3 hours out. Make it to a little place called Redding in California. If you stalk me, I will find you. I promise. And once I got to Redding, I'm like, okay, I need a break. Let me stop, find a burrito. So I found a burrito, kept it in the back for safekeeping. And I'm like, okay, almost there. Just like another hour. So I start getting really deep into the mountains. And it's getting dark. It's like 8 o'clock. And if you've ever been to the mountains in the dark time, you know it's dark. So I'm moving on up, going through the mountains. Everything's cool for now. Until I get to this place called Big Bend Road. Now, you want to know why it's called Big Bend? You can guess. It's Big Bend. Bendy. And my camping spot was about 17, almost 18 miles down that Big Bend Road. About 30 to 40 minutes. I'm on the highway, about to turn to Big Bend, when immediately, just a fat deer just popped up out of nowhere. It had to be 190, 200 pounds, big buck. And he literally just casually walked right in front of my car, very slowly. And it all happened within less than a second. By the time I realized there was a deer there, there was no changing anything. The fate has been drawn in the book of life. So I hit the deer flies off like 20 feet, and I pull off to the side. And there was someone behind me, and he stopped. He's like, I'm going to help this person. He just hit a deer. And then the neighbors come out because, thankfully, it was a neighborhood in the forest. The forest people came out. Big, just hulking, like lumberjacks. The guy who stopped to help me, I think his name was Jerry. I think he was Jewish. I don't know. But Jerry said he was a fire chief for like 25 years. And he was like, yeah, I know what to do. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you some advice. And so I was talking to Jerry, and he was like, well, you should probably get a tow and go back to Redding. And maybe you can stay in a church or something because, you're far away from home. It's not exactly how it went down, but I was like, yeah, I'm going camping. My camping is down Big Bend. I got to get to Big Bend. And Jerry said, hey, you're not getting to Big Bend like this. How are you gonna get through that? It's Big Bend. Don't you know? No, I did not know about Big Bend. So the lumberjack forest people came out. They already knew what happened. They've heard it all before. They came out with a gun, executed the deer, put it out of its misery. And kind of just, standing around, stand by. You still need help, brother? I think I'm good. I'm going to figure it out. Trying to call AAA. Jerry shook my hand. I said, thank you. Thank you so much for helping me. For stopping. Jerry left. Everyone started to leave. And I looked around. And I looked at the damage. My car never turned off. So I'm like, interesting. My car seems to be working just fine. Although the bumper fell off, and it's just ripped plastic everywhere and broken metal, and my whole left not the windshield, the light, my driver's side light was crushed. Now, at this moment, this decisive moment on the journey, everyone would have had a choice to make. Do you go down Big Bend, or do you turn back? I mean, that's 30 to 40 minutes. 17 miles, 18 miles of Big Bend. Wow, I don't know if you can take it. I guess size does matter. But I'm like, I'm so close. Why would I turn back now? And the thing was, I knew from the moment I hit the deer, I could see God's divine hand in the situation so obviously. Because, well, the deer could have been actually running, and I could have totaled my car, and yet I only hit the left side. It didn't even turn off. Seems to be working fine. So I took a chance. I went for it. And then I got lost because I was using the stupid Google Maps and there was no phone service out there. So it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So no phone service, dark as heck, crashed my car in the middle of nowhere. And I was following Google Maps, which isn't very reliable up in the mountains. So I got lost a little bit. But luckily, on the camping app, the person gave me the directions. And I realized, oh, followed the directions wrong. I was following Google Maps. Probably shouldn't have done that. Now, one little quick story. Side note, side quest. I was listening to the Gospel of Ramakrishna the other day, and he was telling a story about a man, who realized God. God is everyone. God is in everything. God is speaking to and through everyone. And one day, this man was walking along a path, and a giant elephant with the elephant rider on top, they call it a mahout, was heading straight for him. But because he was, God-focused, he was like, oh, well, the elephant is God. The elephant will stop because it's God. Spoiler alert, the elephant did not stop. But the mahout was telling the man, hey, get out of the way. And so when I forget exactly who was having this conversation. Ramakrishna was somebody. Maybe it was the man. But Ramakrishna basically said, hey, yeah, the elephant is God, but did you also not pay attention to the mahout who was also God? Speaking to you, telling you to get out of the way? And because I was actually listening to the Gospel of Ramakrishna when I hit the deer, it was fresh in my memory. Look, I only had one earbud in. It was safe. I wasn't distracted. So I had to take it back to Jerry. Jerry's back in the picture. Hello, Jerry. I had to make a decision whether or not Jerry was the one. God was speaking through Jerry, saying, hey, you probably shouldn't go down Big Bend, my friend, because it's dangerous, and you might not survive. So, it was a tough decision, because, hey, is God speaking through Jerry? Maybe. But then, I realized, hey, wait a minute. God will protect me regardless. And even if I have to sleep on the side of the road, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens will be okay. It's not that big of a deal. You hit a deer. It's not that scary. Plus, God is already taking care of the whole situation, so what is there to be afraid about? There is no fear. That is also how you know. People who really know God, there is this aura of fearlessness. Because, well, think about it. If you're a practical, normal human being, do you go down Big Bend? No. You turn around and get help and call AAA. Call a tow truck, for Christ's sake. But those who look at the world do not see God, and those who look at God do not see the world. So I'm like, it doesn't matter what things are looking like on the surface. It is irrelevant. Because at any moment, God could destroy my whole car, or God could keep it afloat long enough for me to get to the camping spot. So it was irrelevant. So I took a chance, I left, I made it, got lost a little bit, and then finally, I knew I was going to make it. Although there was a little bit of fear that arose. Now, knowing God doesn't mean you don't have fear. Knowing God means you go anyway. You choose love over fear. And you can imagine the relief of finally finding it. Very nice. Wonderful. Stressful situation, no? So I unlock the gate, find the camping spot, my tent fresh from Amazon, took it out of the box, opened it up, set it up in like 3 minutes, threw everything in there. Finally. All I want to do is go to sleep and smoke a fat joint. So that's what I did. And I started to eat my burrito. Ate like half the burrito. Ow! I bought this new coffee warmer. Apparently, it makes the coffee cup hot. Who would have thought? Newsflash, don't touch the bottom. So I ate half the burrito. drank a sparkling water, smoked a fat joint, looked at the stars a little bit, went to bed. Couldn't sleep because I was, buzzing. Then I started to take notes. I don't even remember what I written down, but it was profound, I'm sure. I'll have to check that in a little bit. So I wrote some notes, trying to reflect on my life, which is why I went out to camping in the first place. Because sometimes you need to get away from your daily routines and reset your nervous system. Because it's so easy to get caught in the same thing every single day. Same patterns. Not good. Because, well, one of the big things I learned was we spend so much time thinking. That's one of the big lessons I learned this weekend. I was so painfully aware of all the thoughts, never stopping, and I realized, oh, wait a minute. That is why there is that feeling of separation from love. Now I experience freedom and peace and all that jazz. But there's also the divine ecstasy that comes along on the spiritual journey at some point. But I was curious, why don't I feel this? What's going on? Thinking that I was abnormal or something. Which is not. If you don't feel divine ecstasy, and if you're not happy all the time, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a normal human being. Just a side note. But I became so aware of all of these thoughts, I'm like, wow. We spend so much time thinking, very little time actually living. So it changed the trajectory of my life. I learned more in one weekend than I probably did in months. Because that is what nature does for you. That is what God does for you. Now the story hasn't ended. Part 2. So the next day, I wake up. Man, I almost touched the bottom again. I started to go on my adventure for the day. Drank some coffee. Now at this camping spot, they had these hot spring tubs. Very cool. I didn't even know they were real. I thought they were fake. But apparently they were real hot springs. Where the water was naturally nice and warm. So I'm like, cool. Nice. Wonderful. I go, walk, wobble. Well, I wasn't wobbling yet, but I find the tubs. There's people there, but I wanted to first get in the cold water in the creek. So I'm like, cool, let's get in the creek. Cold plunge. Very nice. And it was refreshing. It was very nice. I said that twice. If it's nice, say it twice. Now, in my journey in the creek, in the water, enjoying life, let me see if I can show you this. I have these shark slippers, you see, that protect my feet from the elements. And while I was in the creek, my slipper fell off and started floating down. And I thought, oh no, I have to go get it. And it just kept floating and just kept floating. The problem was, all the rocks are super slippery. So here I am, stepping on the dry rocks, trying not to slip. But I thought again, well, this is why I'm here, to go on an adventure. This is the whole point, is it not? I could see God orchestrating the situations perfectly. Everything was so perfect. First of all, because I wasn't judging life. Because I wasn't like, oh man, this sucks. This shouldn't be happening right now. When you stop judging life like that, everything works out perfectly. No matter what happens to you, all the difficult things are so much less severe than what other people experience. Just another little side note. I'm sorry, my mind works this way all over the place. Forgive me. Man, to be honest, I have no idea what I just said. Now I have to turn off the camera and reflect so that I can get back on track. Sorry. One moment, please. Beep. Sorry for the interruption. Is this okay? I have recalled. The point I was going to make was that when you awaken, or perhaps you just have 100% faith and trust in God, and you surrender to God's will, God's plan, whatever that is, because you assume that, okay, God's plan is better than my plan. So what happens is that the karmic consequences of your actions have been reduced drastically. Meaning, if I do something bad, the karmic effect of my bad deed, for example, getting hit by a deer, for another person, the same consequences. They would have probably totaled their car and flipped it over into a ditch. That's the kind of power that surrender has. Just a side note, I guess this video is called Your Daily Reminder to have faith and trust. This is why. Because if I would have been attached to the story, to the drama playing in my mind, then I would have been pulled all over the place by my thoughts and my emotions, and the karmic consequences would have been so much worse. But I felt nothing. Not like a psychopath, oh, I didn't feel anything, but there was no drama in me about hitting the deer. There was no drama the moment I hit it. There was no drama afterwards. There was just, oh, this is happening. I knew this was going to happen, and I actually did. I knew it was going to happen. My intuition told me it was going to happen before I even began the journey. And so I was actually looking out for the deers until one moment, it just happened. And that's actually what was going through my mind the moment I saw it. I was like, I knew it. Ah. The point is, if you have this faith and trust, whatever you go through in life, you will go through it with grace. Because, well, I probably shouldn't have made it. But there was never a moment where my faith wavered. So for one person, they might get freaked out. Their whole night is ruined. Their whole weekend is ruined because of this. Whereas for me, it didn't affect me at all. It didn't mean anything to me. Besides feeling bad for the deer. Because I saw the deer's friend, and it made me sad. Because that deer is going to spend the rest of his life not knowing what happened to his friend. But then again, I thought about it, like, probably doesn't have that big of an attention span. But besides the point, when you have trust and faith, you flow through life with grace. And no matter what happens, you will be okay. But when you get caught in your mind and in your emotions and the psychological drama of whatever it is that you're going through, life will drag you along kicking and screaming, and you will have to pay higher karmic consequences for your actions. For example, in the past, there was things that I used to do that almost killed me. I could see it. I could see the cause and the effect. And I could repeat the same. It was like being a scientist. Every time I would repeat the same actions, the negative things, something bad would happen. And I watched as I became more and more awakened. As I went from being this little human person, this little ego, trying to live my life, trying to figure it all out, caught in the psychological drama of everything, to just allowing life to be as it is and having unlimited trust and faith. And I could see the karmic consequences would lessen and lessen and lessen and lessen until it's almost zero. And this is what a lot of Eastern philosophy, that's what they tell you. The more you're attached to your personal reality, your stories, your dramas, the greater problems you will experience. And the more you let all that go, the more free you are, and then it doesn't matter so much what happens anymore. Every single situation, you will flow through it with grace. It's all going to be okay. Just a reminder. Now, back to the story. So I lost my flipper, my shark flipper. And I watched as it just, kept going. I'm trying to. I wasn't fast enough. Couldn't do nothing. Because, well, I'm not an aquatic mammal. So I'm stepping on like one rock at a time. And some places are a little bit faster. Some places are deeper water, so I gotta swim. I used the monkey method. It was actually a lot easier to go through the creek as a monkey than a human being standing up tall. Just goes to show, hey, be a monkey sometimes. So I traveled down that creek for like 45 minutes to an hour. I didn't have a phone. I didn't even have shoes, okay? I left my other flipper behind because, well, I didn't want it to be a burden. Because if it was a burden, then I might lose that one too. Not good. I don't even know what I was thinking. So I traveled about 45 minutes to an hour, going on an adventure. I'm like, hey, God gave me the opportunity to go on this adventure. I'm not worrying. I'm not like, oh no, I lost my slipper, my flipper slipper. Everything's going wrong today. This weekend is ruined because now I've lost my shark flipper. It's the difference between realizing that there's a problem or realizing that there is no problem. You see, the whole time, the whole experience, the whole weekend, there was never a single problem, ever. Not even for a moment was there a problem. But on the surface, problems everywhere. That's the difference. Those who look at the world do not see God. Those who look at the world see problems. Those who look at God see no problems. It's just life happening. So, I get down to the end. I'm like, every so often, I'm like, do I keep going? Do I keep going? Or do I give up and turn back? And there was a little voice that said, hey, just go a little bit further. And I wasn't really, necessarily listening to that voice, but I was like, okay, fine. I'll keep going. And I kept going. And I kept going. Until I found at the end of this adventure, after like 45 minutes to an hour, 2 creeks converged into one. Now, the creek that I was going down was a small creek, very nice, gentle. And the creek on the left side, the new one, with these big rapids, deep, like 15 feet deep, going fast. And I'm like, oh, cool, nice. Let's look at these for a while. And I'm looking, and I'm looking. And I'm like, okay, well, if my slipper has fallen to this point, it's gone. There's no point. This is the point in which I give up. It's just one of those moments where you know. Because eventually you got to make that decision. When do I turn back? But, kept having faith, kept having trust, not seeing the problem. Because there was no problem. So I'm like, oh, look, there's a cool rock right next to the big rapids where it just gets real deep and real fast, real quick. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go sit on that rock for a moment. Just to go, be next to the big rapids. The most dangerous point on this journey. Or at least on the river journey. And right as I go to get on that rock, I slip. The most dangerous point. I slip and bust my toe. It started bleeding everywhere. Maybe I can show you. It's kind of nasty. It's my pinky toe as well. I don't think I'm going to show you. But I've been limping, wobbling ever since. So, I slip, I fall. But then I get back on the rock and just chill there for a moment. Just relax. It's all part of the journey. But now I got to go back 45 minutes the opposite direction, up the stream with my toe's not broken. It's just bruised and bleeding. Still wobbling. And now I don't have any slippers. So I'm just hitting my foot on rocks, slippery rocks. Luckily, I found a nice stick, a nice wizard stick, halfway along my journey. So, luckily, I had a nice wizard stick to help prevent me from hitting my foot anymore. Look at it, another boon on my adventure. A boon. What is a boon, you might ask? It's a gift from the gods. A nice stick. And it saved my butt, for sure. Because walking back up that stream with no stick, not good. So I'm crawling back. Some places I'm crawling because it's easier to crawl through the water than it is to walk on it. I haven't yet learned the power to walk on water, but we're getting there. And about, 15 to 20 minutes back up, I look up, there's my shark flipper! Wow. And I started laughing because I told myself, if it's God's will to find my slipper, I'll find it. And if it's not God's will to find my slipper, I won't find it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no need for this psychological drama of, will I find it? Will I not find it? I've already accepted my fate. It's already gone. There's no attachment to this situation at all. I'm just having fun. I'm not actually on this crazy, mission to find my slipper. I'm using losing my slipper as an excuse to go on the adventure. Make sense? So it's all fun. That's the big thing. It's the whole container is fun. Even if there are little problems in between in the container. But if the container, meaning the framework from which you're coming from the situation, if that's negative, then the whole experience is negative. And amazingly, the shark flipper was the one for the foot in which I busted my toe. So not only did I have a nice wizard stick, but now I had a slipper to protect my busted toe. Wow. Everything aligned perfectly. There was not a single moment where there was a struggle, where there was resistance to life. It was all just a story unfolding. God's story. And God's story is perfect, which is why there was effortless success. even if they're on the surface there was problems. That is what happens when you have faith and trust. Effortless success. Effortlessly moving through life with grace. So I kept going. Yeah, on my way back. Wonderful. And on my way back, I met a friend who were chilling in the hot springs in the creek. Talked for a while. Then finally went to go relax in the hot spring. Nice. It's nice. You see, the thing I realized from the very beginning, it was all divinely orchestrated. And it always is divinely orchestrated. If we can get out of the way enough to see that, to see the perfection in everything, to see the perfection beyond the problems, the surface level things. Now the funny thing was, and I didn't realize this till the next day, but the place that I was staying was called Take a Chance Ranch. Take a chance ranch. Take a chance ranch. There you go. Don't tell me that's not divinely orchestrated. Because I kept having to take those chances. I mean, traveling 18 miles after you got in an accident, that's taking a chance. And even the last day where now I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm 200 miles away from home. It's one thing to drive this car 40 minutes. It's another thing to drive this car 3.5 hours. I actually do need to get a tow truck. And everything worked out smoothly. I actually had to go back down Big Bend. So another 40-30 minutes. But it ended up being fine. And I got a tow truck back to home. Not telling you where my home is because if you stalk me, I swear to God. And that was great because I hate driving long distances. So I get to just relax. Wonderful. Worked out more perfect than I could have ever even imagined. Incredible. And the thing is, most people, they allow their survival mechanisms to keep them stuck in fear, in lack, and scarcity. They play it safe. And that is not a life worth living. And one day you'll wake up, if you do that, and realize, oh, well, I've spent all of these years doing things but never actually living. That's the difference between someone who is God-realized and a normal human being who's living from ego. Is that when you're living from ego, you're living in survival. You can't help it because the ego is very insecure. But when you're living from the God-realized state, or if you just surrender and have faith and trust, what is there to fear in the presence of God? There is no fear. People settle for a job they hate. People settle for a relationship they don't really care about that much because, hey, at least it's something. At least it's something. Most people are living like beggars, settling for a life they don't actually like. But if you can be fearless, if you can trust and realize that it's already taken care of, your perfect relationship, your perfect job, the perfect everything, it's the default. It's the default. You don't gotta do anything to find it. You don't gotta do anything to experience your dream life. Now, imagine that. Because the way that most people live is so far away from that fantasy that they think it's a fantasy. That no, life is cold, it's brutal, it's short, like a Russian dwarf. It's bad. It's bad sometimes. Is it bad sometimes? Yes. But it's bad mostly because of our jaded perspective. The point is like if you just get out of the way, life is perfect. Life will go your way. But the more you get in the way, try to control everything, well, sometimes good things will happen, sometimes bad things will happen. You'll hate the bad times, you'll like the good times, but you'll never find peace. Because life is always changing, and if you're getting dragged around by all that change, well, how are you going to find peace? You're just up and down and up and down and up and down, getting sick, motion sickness. And it's not always easy to have faith and trust at first. You got to build it like a muscle. Because if you don't have evidence that God is taking care of you, you are going to feel like you need to take care of yourself. Right? Right? Like it's all up to you, like all the problems you gotta deal with, and all the money you gotta make, and all the things that you gotta do. You. That's the whole problem with life and people, is that we assume that everything, all the burdens of the world are upon us. And that is why we suffer. Because, well, with all of these burdens, it's like a giant weight weighing you down. And can you perform more effectively with a big ball and chain around your ankles? Or how about not that? How about being free from all of that garbage? All of that nonsense? Because you can say all day that you believe in God, but then throughout your normal daily life you worry about this or that, or worry about that or this. It's hypocritical. Don't say you believe in God if you're spending your whole day worrying about things, or if you worry at all about anything. Now, of course, we're human, but it's about not allowing the worry to take over. Because it's not what happens to you that destroys you. It's not the water around you that sinks the ship. It's the water that gets in. It's the fear that you allow in. It's the worry that you allow in. It doesn't matter what happens. You allow whatever situation to get to you or not. And if you allow the situation to get to you, well, now you're karmically attached to it. Now you're creating future consequences that eventually you're going to have to face. Because you're reacting to your circumstances, your reactions create emotional states, creates emotional memory that gets stored in your body that causes you to act in certain ways moving forward. Like, for example, if I've had trauma around relationships in the past, emotional memory, well, now when I get into relationships in the future, that emotional memory is going to influence me and probably sabotage the new relationships. Just one example. And then we think, oh, well, why did this happen? Why did this relationship fail? Well, it's karma. Because our trauma influences the way we speak, the way we think, the way we react. And all of those things cause an effect in the world. So whatever effect is happening, realize that you are the cause of it. The cause is in you. And that is why having faith and trust is so important. Because you begin dissolving those karmic attachments. You begin letting them go. You're not feeding them any longer. Because the more you're feeding them, the more you're going to have to deal with them. You're letting them go. You're moving on. The past is the past. It doesn't matter anymore. The future is the future. You don't know what's going to happen. There's only right now. So the less we're living right now, the more we're suffering. That is what separates us from peace, love, joy, and abundance. We're too stuck in our thoughts. We're too stuck worrying about future possible scenarios that could be negative, or reflecting on all the negative things that have already happened to us. Having faith and trust allows you to let go of your burdens and give them to God. Because what burdens does God have? None. So why do you need them? You're a limited human being, at least in this particular form. So when a burden is placed upon you, it's heavy because you're limited. But since God is unlimited, there is no burdens. So you can freely give up every single thing in your life at a moment and be free forever. But because we're so attached to our mind stuff, it's not going to happen. But you can begin that process by realizing, oh, all of this psychological drama is just making me miserable. I don't like it. I don't want it anymore. I'm done. And that's the place you got to get to until you finally say, enough is enough, and you let it go. Because you realize, oh, I don't want to keep living this way anymore. I don't want to keep living like a beggar. I don't want to keep struggling through life. Because the only reason that we struggle is because we're going upstream. It's because we're fighting life all the time. We're fighting what's happening to us. We're fighting our problems. And we're living in ignorance. Because if you realize that life was perfect, you realize there is no problems in your life. Now, don't go start philosophizing about, well, there's people in Africa and people in the Middle East that are suffering. Doesn't matter. It's your life. You right now. Stop thinking about other people, other things. Doesn't matter. You have to set yourself free first by allowing God's grace to enter into your life. Because until that happens, you're going to be suffering, and you can't do anything about other people suffering. What can you do? When you free yourself from suffering, when you free yourself from your burdens, you allow the space for other people to do the same. But if you're suffering, and you try to help someone else who's suffering, well, what are you going to do? You're going to probably create more suffering on accident. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Because it doesn't matter if you think you're doing the right thing, if you're coming from a place of misery or suffering or lack in scarcity or fear or worry, the fruits are always going to be bad. Even though you wanted to do the right thing. That's why I say focus on yourself. Get yourself right first before you start thinking about anybody else. Feel free, feel peace, feel love, joy, and abundance before you even think about helping anyone else in this life. Now, it doesn't mean that life isn't going to present to you people to help, and that you can't help them in the moment even if you're suffering. It just means don't get caught in this idea of helping people, of trying to make the world a better place, of trying to save the world. It doesn't matter. Who are you to judge God's creation? And that is what God told Job in the book of Job after he destroyed his life. Well, God didn't destroy his life. Satan destroyed his life. But God said, hey, I'm trying to think for a moment. Where were you when I created the universe? Answer me this. Where were you when I took that Leviathan and, trapped him? But because Job was wise, he didn't say, oh, I hate you for destroying my life. He said, oh, God's will be done. And the story is kind of an example of when you have faith and trust in God, and you don't allow the surface level situation to get to you, God will reward you 10 times over. But even if you're the best, greatest human being on the planet, if you allow the fear and worry in, it's going to destroy you. If you allow the resentment and the anger to flourish and you don't eventually just stop it, it will destroy you. But if you can be free, if you can let go of your burdens, if you can surrender and stop placing the burdens of the world upon your shoulders, you can begin floating through life with grace. Because now there's nothing weighing you down. There's no psychological stuff tormenting you all the time. And well, would you rather live free, or would you rather live as a slave? Because the only prison in existence is our own mind, and we are the jailer and the prisoner. We trap ourselves in our own thoughts by believing and entertaining all of these different stories. This is what's happening to me right now. I'm in a bad spot. Or you could say, well, life is already working out perfectly. It's all good. And some people will get really annoyed at those people because it's like, no, you have to do something. You have to do something now. Life's not perfect now. Life is not good. We have to change life. We have to, whatever's happening right now is not good. So we as individuals have to go and do something about it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, where were you before God? Or where was God before you? God doesn't need your help as much as you probably think. In fact, God doesn't need you to do anything. In fact, stop it. Stop doing the most. That's the crazy thing about it. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of abundance, the kingdom of love, the kingdom of peace is already freely given to you for no cost other than your own attachment to yourself, to who you believe you are. And the more you're attached to who you believe you are, the longer you will be separated from all the good stuff. And the moment you've said, oh, I have enough, I'm tired of dealing with my own nonsense, let alone other people's nonsense, I give it up. A big relief is felt and experienced and washes over you. Congratulations. Life doesn't have to be that hard. It's only hard because we make it hard upon ourselves. You can free yourself from any situation. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your current circumstances are. It's all spiritual work for you. And a lot of people just don't want to do it. Or should I say, it is ignorance of this fact that the experiences that we go through are designed specifically by God, the artist, for us to experience and grow through. It's not, oh, I'm a little human being dealing with my little human problems and this sucks. It's, oh, I'm a spiritual being working through my karmic attachments so I can become free. Because if you're a little ego, you're always going to be struggling. You're always going to be suffering. Up, down, never catching a break. And until you feel like, oh, I'm done with this, it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to change. That is why a lot of people have to hit rock bottom first. Because the suffering has to be enough to burn off those karmic attachments. Where you say, I'm done with this, moving on, let's go. And having faith and trust is the best way to do that. Because things are only heavy when you pick them up. You can drop them at any moment. Oh, not heavy anymore. Wow. And how do you do that? You stop picking it up. Meaning you stop engaging and getting entangled with your mind stuff. You stop getting entangled with the world, and you find freedom within your own self. That which you must seek the truth, because the truth will set you free. And those who look for God find themselves, and those who look for themselves find God. Remember, St. Francis of Assisi, he said, what you are looking for is already where you are looking from. It's about awakening to the truth of this life, that you are not a little helpless ego trying to figure it all out, struggling, but that you are the divine incarnate, expressing itself through the limited, and that life is already perfect, that life is God's divine play, and that we, as individuals, are supposed to play it, not suffer it the whole time and die. Although it's part of it, we simply don't know how to live, because life only happens in the present moment. And the more you're separated from the present moment in your thoughts, in the past and the future, the less you're truly living, the more you suffer. But when you let it all go, there's nothing that pulls you into it anymore. There's no thoughts that get to you, because the moment your thoughts come with worry or doubt or fear, you're just like, oh, it's irrelevant. So you're not feeding it anymore. So it dissolves, because you know God is already taking care of everything. And it doesn't matter what things look like on the surface. It's all part of it. And all this is just a reminder over and over and over again. Because we will get caught in our senses, pulled into the world of 10,000 things, and forget, only so that we can experience the relief in remembering. Because on my journey, camping trip, without the trouble, for what purpose is there relief? If everything is all fine and dandy, well then it's fine and dandy. But it's not that, it's not really living. You will be most alive on the edge of death. But because most people are too afraid to live, they kill their soul, settle, not for life, but they settle for less. So take a chance. Take a chance on life. Stop allowing fear to take the wheel. And just go for it. Because you're going to die anyway, so what does it matter? What does it matter what you do? Do something you love, for God's sake. Live a life that you enjoy. Don't spend one moment doing things you don't like. Turn every moment into an adventure. But you must be fearless, my friend. Or else the fear will come and grab your butt and pull you down to a life you don't like. Didn't use the whiteboard today, but here we are. Visit my coolest store. I am Ray. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, ponder your orb today. We'll do it like this. Just ponder.